On November 8, 2012, at the BBC Broadcasting House in Portland Place, London, Psy appeared on Scott Miles' Radio 1 show. He was asked how many times he had done the horse dance from his viral music video, Gangnam Style, which at the time had racked up over 700 million views.
Now, how many times do you think you've done the dance?
It was so many times, but
Psy tried to give a straight answer but couldn't settle on a specific number until Scott threw out a guess.
So you must have done it thousands of times. Thousands of times.
yeah,
the
honestly,
dance.
yes.
Yeah.
As an artist, of course, you're expected to perform your song hundreds of times, but to keep doing it and even teaching it over 8,000 times, that's where Psy's story starts to get really interesting. That same day, Psy was also presented with the Guinness World Record for the most liked video on YouTube.
As if you need proof, here it is.
Okay, so read out what's the record?
Okay, so the most liked video on YouTube is Gangnam Style with 4,909,154 likes as of today, the 8th of November. It's a new Guinness. You've beaten Bieber, you've beaten Charlie Bit My Finger.
But before this UK moment, Psy had already made waves in the US, performing and touring through major media outlets. After his video was uploaded to YouTube on July 15th, he was contacted by Justin Bieber's manager at the time, Scooter Braun, and signed to Braun's Schoolboy Records.
To Psy, to Korea, breaking down barriers to the future. Thanks a lot.
He appeared on Ellen DeGeneres show, teaching Britney Spears his signature dance move and did the same at the VH1 Big Morning Balls Live. He performed at the VMAs with Kevin Hart, the EMAs with David Hasselhoff, and the AMAs with MC Hammer.
한국말로 해보고 싶었습니다. 죽이지? Me too, sir. You know what I'm talking about, Kevin? Well, why the hell didn't you say it in English the first time, Kevin?
Big name celebrities were tweeting about him and even following him. Katy Perry, Tom Cruise, T-Pain. He gave a speech at the Oxford Union Society, was spotted with politicians, and was even mentioned by the former US President Barack Obama.
And of course, around the world, people are being swept up by Korean culture, the Korean wave. And as I've mentioned to President Park, my daughters have taught me a pretty good Gangnam Style.
But for all the buzz around Psy, a 35-year-old married man with 2 kids and more than 5 studio albums at the time, there was one question nobody seemed to be asking. What had Psy been doing for the 34 years before Gangnam Style?
So even the President of the United States of America is talking about Gangnam Style.
Actually, someone asked. That's why he answered.
Right.
That doesn't matter. Now, I want to get to the translation. We did this a while ago with the Posh Radio 4 lady. Now, I've got some of the lyrics here. Can you just tell me if this is right? Okay? The translation.
Oppa is Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
I love this.
A girl who is warm and humane during the day. A classy girl who knows how to enjoy the freedom of a cup of coffee. A girl whose heart gets hotter when night comes. A girl with that...
Alpha. Melody for you.
Park Ji-san's story begins with the pressure of living up to a family legacy. Born to Park Won-ho and Kim Young-hee, he was one of 2 children, Jae-yoon and Jae-sang, and as the only son, it was inevitable he would be expected to inherit whatever success the family had built. There isn't much available about his family background, but what I do know is that his grandfather, Park Ki-hyuk, defected from North Korea and began importing and selling optical products from Japan to South Korea in 1955. Sang was closer to his grandfather than his father. His stubborn nature often put him at odds with his dad, but his grandfather always had his back. He was more than just family, he was Sang's best friend.
But I didn't really have that kind of bond with my dad. My grandpa adored me. He always said I was beautiful. When Dad opposed things, Grandpa was the one who stepped in for us. He'd always try to talk him around. I guess I got into music because I loved singers growing up. One of my friends wanted to be a singer, and I just followed along. Honestly, it was either this or selling meat, and that didn't sit right with me. I started thinking maybe I'd work in media one day. It was just a vague dream back then, but I remember we did everything together back in elementary school. We'd even go to the public bathhouse and Grandpa would sip a drink. I learned so much from him. We were incredibly close, closer than most grandfathers and grandkids.
His grandfather had two sons. The eldest Park Won-ho, Sang's father, and his uncle Park Won-deok. Sang's father initially worked at Samsung Heavy Industry before joining Dong-il Trading. In 1986, he was appointed CEO. The company later merged with Dong-il Semiconductor Equipment in 1989 and rebranded as DI Corporation in 1996, supplying major clients like Samsung Electronics and Taiwanese tech firm. On the other side, Sang's mother, Kim Yong-hee, ran several high-end restaurants in Cheongdam-dong and Sisadong in Gangnam. So yeah, Jae-sang came from a hard-working and now wealthy family. But that's exactly why the pressure to continue with family legacy was so intense. He wasn't just the only son, he was the only male heir in the entire Park family. That became the root of his lifelong struggle. That struggle officially began in high school when his parents discovered he wasn't taking education seriously. He was terrible at figures and didn't like being told what to do. His father would try to persuade him and beat him a lot, all the time. He just didn't get it. He was like, why is my son not academic? His only interest is in getting attention from girls. He was so frustrated. Sang attended two main schools growing up. Bampo Elementary School, graduating with the 11th class, then Bampo Middle School, finishing with the 16th class. He moved on to Seoul's Boys High School in Seoul. But even there, he was more about the fun than the education he was sent there for.
I hope students who watch this don't take this the wrong way, but I failed all the subjects I thought were useless. The grade scale goes from A to F, and you know what they stand for in Chinese character, right? A means extraordinary, B means great, C means beautiful, D means good, and F means righteous. F means righteous. This was my excuse when I was in middle school. My mother told me she regrets teaching me Chinese character.
After high school, he knew his dad wouldn't let him study abroad like his sister, who majored in linguistics at the New York University, because of his obvious disinterest in academics. But he was desperate to get far away from home. So he persuaded his father with sweet talk, saying, Korea is too small for business. If you send me to study abroad, I will study English hard. This made Sai study hard for a month and get the TOEFL score his father suggested. His father was impressed and allowed him to study abroad. If only they knew they were about to make one of the worst decisions of their life. In 1996, they sent him to Boston University, a prestigious private research school, to study business administration. But about a year later, they received a Parents' Day invitation. The real shock wasn't about the event itself, it was the school it came from, Berklee College of Music, just 1.4 miles, a 4-minute drive from Boston University. Turns out that Jae-sang hadn't been using his tuition money for school at all. Instead, he was spending the $10K to $20K they were sending him on whatever he wanted.
And then, my dad, he grabbed a golf club and ran off toward the airport. My mum saw it all happening. She tried to stop him, saying, "What are you doing?" It was wild. Seriously.
But for Jae-sang's side of the story, he had his reasons. He loved making people laugh and craved reaction, and rebellion was the only way he could express himself.
Yes, I was really rebellious kid.
Even to your parents?
Yeah.
Unlike his parents, he believed sending him to Boston and giving him control of his tuition money was actually one of the best things they've ever done. It gave him the freedom to do whatever he wanted, partying, drinking, dancing, but most importantly, no one was there to hold him accountable. When he found out his parents knew what he was up to and had cut off his funding, he knew he was finished. It kind of reminded me of what Davido said in one of his interviews.
No, there's one thing about African homes. If you leave, if you do something bad, don't go back until you have become something of yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
don't go home like if you left a failure, you can never come back a failure. I don't care how long you stay away from home.
Jae-sang was living out a real prodigal son story, and just like Davido said, even if your parents are rich, you no fit go back house empty-handed though. So he started hustling. His reason for transferring to Berklee was because he had started falling in love with music. Sai, who had been addicted to drinking and dancing, began dreaming of becoming a singer. The hip-hop boom was happening at the time, and he thought, oh, you can become a singer by just talking, and sought to become a singer. But before he could start making music seriously, he needed money. Calling that wasn't an option, so he began earning by burning and delivering illegal CDs. It was during this time he discovered a crazy skill that would boost his music career from the very start.
So I bought it, and when I worked on it, the final product was amazing. That CD was an enormous hit. I lived in Boston. and the CDs traveled to Koreatown in New York, New Jersey, and Court. I don't remember exactly, but the amount I earned was enough to live in the States for 3 years. I made my first album with that money as well. The CD meant a lot to me because the program I had bought also had composition function as well. So I was interested, and because I loved dancing, I started making some beats, boom clap, boom boom clap, and so on.
Jae-sang mentioned 2 trips back to Korea during school breaks, but neither involved him returning home to settle things with his parents. The first time, he came back as a songwriter with demo tapes he had made during his quarantine-like self-discovery in the US. He handed them out to every record label he could find, but nobody bought them.
I wrote like 100 songs in a year. In that period, I was like, never step outside. For a year, like only 2-3 times, just for, fuel, gas or something.
The second time, he came back as a fully loaded artist, ready to be signed. Before that, he met Jo Jong-hoon, aka Cho PD, at Berkeley, who was already making serious noise with his music online. And by online, I don't mean the internet too. I mean what Koreans called PC Tonshin. Or let me translate, PC communication. Hey Siri, what's PC Tonshin?
I'm not sure I understand.
I know you're not going to get them like that.
Psych, PC Tongshin, pronounced PC Tongshin, is short for personal computer communication. It was a method in South Korea during the 1980s and 1990s where people used dial-up modems to connect to private online services, kind of like early internet but closed off and limited to specific platforms like Hitel, Cholian, and Naiwei. It let users chat, send messages, play games, and access information, all in text form.
Cho introduced Sang to the label he was signed to, Pan Entertainment. They asked Sang to upload his music online. He did, they listened. They were blown away and immediately asked him to return to Korea so they could work something out. The second visit I mentioned, that's the one. But what happened when they saw him in person was shocking.
So I signed with that company. I still remember the day when they put me in the middle and discussed about my looks. I was sitting right in the middle and the staffs were saying, "What about plastic surgery? That won't cover it. How about a mask? That's too cliché. Then what can we do? Let's think of more ideas."
Oh wow, the label was expecting a Korean A$AP Rocky or Drake, based on his hardcore rap lyrics about bad bitches. But instead, Drewski walked through the door. See, Pan Entertainment was a new label and had launched just the year before, in 1998. Cho PD was already established and a female artist named Lee Jung-gyu was also set to debut. Sang was originally supposed to debut with her in 1999, but the label told him to wait while they figured out what to do with him. In the meantime, he contributed to some of their projects. He featured on Casanova by Cho PD and even wrote a song for Lee titled I Love X, a track he later remade as I Love Sex on his own album 1.5 years later. Yeah, it took them that long to figure out how to present Jae-sang to a Korean audience. In fact, he took a miracle dance during a karaoke party in front of his boss.
One night, we all went out to celebrate Junghyun's award, and when my boss saw me singing at karaoke, he stopped the music. When the music stopped, I was standing on the table and posing like this, and with the mic cable between my legs. My boss had good eyes. He pointed at me and said, "Let's do that on stage."
October 2000, that's when Park Jae-sang officially debuted under the name Psy, short for Psycho, with the song Bird.
Feel me.
3 months later, on July 18, 2001, he dropped his debut album, Psy from the Psycho World. And as expected, the audience had the same reaction the label did. Because when you hear the lyrics like bad bitches and see condom rappers on his album cover, you expect the artist to look like 50 Cent or something. Bro was a ghost to his own song for a while. This song came out when I was in middle school. I was a little shocked, but I saw a picture of a woman's bra in the album. I feel like this guy is not an ordinary person. As a Korean, I want to translate the lyrics of this song into English and show you, but there are a lot of connotation and squeaks, so it's difficult. Actually, when this song came out, I was in the 5th grade of elementary school and the Korean entertainment industry was shocked. Psy was on fire and it looked like he was finally proving to his family and himself that he could make something out of nothing. But just when things were starting to look good, he messed up big time.
올 초 싸이라는 예명으로 데뷔한 인기 가수 24살 박모 씨가 대마초 흡연 혐의로 긴급 체포됐습니다.
On November 15th, 2001, just 10 months after Psy struggled to debut and dropped his first album, they were preparing to release their second full-length album, SSA2, by the end of the year. But on that same day, while filming the music video for the lead single, they were caught smoking marijuana and arrested by the police. Park, who had been busy finishing up his second album ahead of his military enlistment scheduled for this month, revealed that he smoked marijuana to increase the efficiency of his workflow as the production deadline became tight. Jae-sang said, "Before the release of my album and my comeback, I wondered if the public would really welcome me and my album. I did it one more time because I felt a bit weak, cowardly, and unmanly." Now, for those of you who don't know, Korea is built on a Confucian ideal like respect for authority, discipline, honor, and shame. So when someone, especially a public figure, steps out of line, it's not just seen as a personal mistake, it's seen as a disgrace to their family, their fans, and even the country. I believe this is why Psy has refused to speak about his arrest in interviews across foreign countries. Because it was a serious mess up, and he still regrets it to this day. Because a lot of things happened to him during this period that he can never forget. First, he lost the Rookie of the Year award. He was said to be a strong contender, but since he was suspended from broadcasting due to the scandal, the award went to his junior from high school, Song Si-kyung. Second, he ended up taking the disgrace from his family straight to national TV. Are you guys not seeing those cameramen in the corner taking pictures like he committed murder, when all my guy did was just to smoke some blow? Although, I don't even understand how Koreans expect their music to hit hard with this kind of energy. I'm not saying that weed isn't a bad thing, but if we say make we arrest every artist with a smoke for Niger, only Chike go remain, but that's by the way.
But honestly, I was just 25 back then. I was scared out of my mind. Usually when something like this happens, the mom shows up at the police station, and the officer told me they always hear the same thing. She sits on the floor and goes, "Oh, officer, please, my boy's actually a really good kid." But then my parents come storming in. My dad's a former Marine, real tough guy. He came in and shocked my hands and said I should use this opportunity and quit smoking and just left. And my mum? She looked at the police and said, "I figured you'd end up like this," and also left too.
But most painful of all, Granddad Park Ki-hyuk died on December 18th, 2001, while Psy was still in prison. He was sentenced to 1 year and wasn't even allowed to attend the burial.
He wasn't terminally ill, but I was arrested while he was taking treatment, and somehow I think he knew, but I never go to hear his voice again. That's one of my biggest regrets. He loved me so deeply.
When I saw this part of Psy's story, I was like, how the hell did this guy go on to give YouTube his first billion-view video 11 years later? At this point, Psy's newly found career was officially doomed. But what happened next shocked everyone, even myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Japan and Korea, the host nations of the 2002 FIFA World Cup.
Before 2002, the World Cup had never been hosted in Asia. FIFA was looking to tap into a new market, attract new fans, and open the door to more money. And Asia, especially Japan and South Korea, was booming economically and culturally in the 90s. Both countries originally submitted bids to host the World Cup, but because of the rising political tensions, Korea and Japan see themselves as rivals. FIFA suggested they co-host it. That's how it became the first ever co-hosted World Cup. On the other hand, Psy was doing a 1 year self-reflection, a Korean concept called Banseon Hada, which literally means to reflect deeply. It's a big deal. You can't just commit a crime and show up on TV like nothing happened, although just have become the president of a country. We win. That kind of thing no day for deal. His sophomore album was later released on January 16th, 2002. However, since he was in the middle of a period of self-reflection, Psy's activities for his second album were inevitably limited. First of all, since they were banned from appearing on terrestrial broadcasting, they couldn't appear on any music show Also, the lyrics are much more hardcore than their previous work, and they were criticized for having a negative influence on children and teenagers due to their suggestive lyrics. As a result, the album was banned from being sold to teenagers after receiving a ban on listening to those under the age of 19. See, you have to understand that the Korean system is tough and everything is connected. If the KMROB bans you, it's not just teenagers who won't hear your song go. Commercially, the track becomes useless. No radio, no TV, and no showbiz would even touch it.
You're listening to AM 1430 KMRB, San Gabriel, Los Angeles, a multicultural radio broadcasting station.
But luckily, with the World Cup hosting, Koreans had a lot on their plate, plus plenty of foreigners entering the country, so they had bigger things to worry about than checking if Psy was really bang sugar dying. Most of all, South Korea's national team was killing it. They made it all the way to the semi-finals, defeating Italy at the round of 16 and Spain in the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, the group where they put Nigeria for that World Cup still they paying us to this day. So you can imagine how hyped the country was, and it was during this heat that Psy decided to leave his self-reflection and join the Red Devil. Not Man U, I'm not talking about Man U. South Korean football supporters call themselves the Red Devil. People are not going why. That was when the miracle happened.
SBS 6시 뉴스였어요.
It was at SBS, 6 o'clock news live. I'm at the City Hall, where the cheering vibe was electrical. I had just gotten there when the reporter spots me and says, "Oh wow, look, it's Psy. We're live right now." That went live on national TV that day.
A reporter called out Psy asking for his opinion on the national team's performance. It was in this exact heat that Psy dropped the song Champion, a track made to cheer up Koreans after they lost in the semi-finals. He sampled the soundtrack from the 1984 Eddie Murphy movie Beverly Hills Cop, specifically the track Axel Elf.
싸이의 무대입니다.
챔피언.
골잘 차는 유소년들이 이 나라의 챔피언입니다.
The song was a huge smash. If not for Gangnam Style, Champion would still remain Psy's biggest hit. He even performed it for Koreans at the next World Cup in Germany. This was the first sign I saw Psy leaning into the kind of production that would eventually lead to Gangnam Style, because just 3 years later in 2005, the same Axel Elf sound was used in the famous Crazy Frog ringtone, just to see how relatable it was. The song also became a meme between Koreans and black people because of the way the word nigga, meaning I in Korean, sounded like nigga. 2002 officially marked Psy's comeback/breakout season. He ended the year with joy, his ban was lifted, he dropped his third studio album 3 Mai and sealed it with a few performances because the next year, he had to report for military service. In Korea, it's compulsory by law for every male between 18 to 28 to serve in the military for about 3 years. During that time, you work and train for the Korean government. Psy reported for service, but instead of active duty as a soldier, he was assigned alternative service doing a desk job at a software company. And I believe it was during this time he reconciled with his dad by releasing a song called Father in 2005. The song was truly very emotional and visually showcased the true meaning of fatherhood. And he heard from his mother that his father had decided he was going to make more of an effort. I thought, wow, the power of music, Psy says. The next year, after finishing his industrial service, Psy dropped his fourth album, S.S. Sajib, Cheap House, on July 24, 2006. Before the end of that year, on October 14th, he got married to his same-age girlfriend, Yoo Hee-yeon. On their wedding day, Psy boasted, "I am confident that I can make at least one person smile for the rest of my life." The couple was expecting twins the following year when another government tragedy hit and delayed Psy's career again.
Allegiance. I am Private First Class Park Jae-sung, serving as a signalman in the 52nd Army Infantry Division. Before being conscripted, I worked as a singer and producer named Psy.
In June 2007, Psy was prosecuted over the cancellation of his already completed military service. They claimed Psy was working on a non-designated task and noted that he performed 52 times while working as an industrial technician. A senior prosecutor said, In order for people to work hard during the week, they need a certain amount of rest and sleep after work. But in Psy's case, performing a public performances after work consumed a considerable amount of energy and stamina. Doing dozens of such performances makes us think that he must have been tired during work. That is why there was also a statement that he took a lot of rest during work. By now, Psy was already 29, technically above the age limit for military enlistment. Plus, like I said before, he and his wife were expecting twins and he was transitioning into fatherhood. At first, he tried to file the lawsuit in court but failed. He was found guilty and ordered to re-enlist. With his wife's encouragement, he agreed. This time, there was no option for industrial work, only military service, with another 2 years of his musical career gone.
Out of what I've received from my parents, I'm most thankful for my positive attitude. I'm a little too positive. People joked around and asked, "How will you survive at the army again?" But the first day I went back, I was fine. Spicy pork was for dinner that day, and I ate 2 plates of it, and I slept really well that night. So I analyzed myself and wondered if I had some sort of problem, and I realized I always desire to have fun.
1 year for marijuana, 1 year for self-reflection, 3 years for alternative service, 1 year for trial, 2 years for activities. 8 years in total since debut, making it 10 years with 2 years activity. Now, I'm going to run without resting. This line from the third verse of the intro track, Mr. SSA, on Psy's 5th album was the main reason I got curious about his story in the first place. But we'll come back to the album soon. When you look at Psy's discography, it raises a lot of questions. Like, how does an artist who dropped 3 albums in just 2 years after debut suddenly go almost quiet with just 1 album in 8 years?
As I was going through those 55 months, I gained a life motto. It may sound a bit funny and sad at the same time, but it's enormous help in life. It is, there must be a reason. This is applicable in any situation. When something amazing happens, there must be a reason. And if something bad going the happy, you should watch out for that.
But if you read that final line again, now I am going to run without resting. Hold your horses, because that's exactly what he did the moment he walked out of military service. Psy earned massive respect from Koreans for choosing to re-enlist and properly complete his service, and this actually helped boost his public image when he returned. His performance at the NBC University Festival wasn't just welcomed, it was filled with fans who weren't just sympathetic anymore, they were proud of him. By the end of 2009, Psy hosted a joint concert with Kim Jong-un, another Korean entertainer often compared to Psy for the title of the best live performer in Korea. The show was called One Touch and had a huge turnout. Then came August 2010. In a very smart move, Psy left everything he was working on and joined YG Entertainment. This decision changed everything. YG became the platform Psy needed to fully express himself creatively and commercially. They helped him transition from a controversial buzzmaker to a commercial superstar. Funny enough, Psy had actually submitted demos to YG back in 1998 and they rejected him. Thank God though, because maybe if they hadn't, Psy might have ended up just another songwriter behind the scenes. But now, with YG, his whole identity as an artist evolved. High quality video, a bigger budget, more freedom. The label chairman was even an industry friend, so Psy had room to play. Most importantly, YG opened Psy's official YouTube channel. That's how the world finally met him.
I signed with YG because I didn't have any guardian when I fell down. I realized I had no one to protect me. When I was down, people were throwing things at me. There wasn't anyone to protect me. When I was the content and I had nothing to wrap myself with, I felt like I was naked.
On October 20, 2010, Psy dropped his 5th studio album, Psy 5, under YG Entertainment. And if you listen closely, you will hear a big sound upgrade. Full stereo production, sleek visual, and Psy rubbing his charisma all over the place. This was no longer the reckless kid from Gangnam. This was a full-blown entertainer. See, The truth is, most Korean artists follow the rules and stay stuck in the box. Psy started his career with zero decency and filter. He said what he wanted, how he wanted, and instead of cancelling him, people respected it. Because that's what artists are supposed to do. Reflect culture, not just follow it. Between 2011 and 2012, Psy was doing exactly what an artist who has been in the game for a decade should be doing. Promoting, reinventing, staying relevant, and yeah, maintaining his status as Korea's #1 performer. To understand how serious that was, just listen to how many one-touch concerts Psy said he performed over those 3 years.
One touch.
How many years have you had it for?
This is my 3rd year, I think. I think I've had around 100 shows during those 3 years.
Now, let's talk strategy for a second. In Korea, dropping a lead single before an album is a huge deal. Like Hilary B, it's not just a preview, it's the main event. It sets the entire tone for the comeback. That one track is meant to blow up, dominate the music show, and come with a viral video that slaps hard. So by the time Gangnam Style came around, it wasn't some random YouTube miracle. This was a system. Psy and his team had been sharpening their weapon for years. YouTube just happened to be one more tool in their arsenal. On July 15, 2012, the official music video for Gangnam Style dropped, and the world would never be the same.
This was my 6th album, right? So, which means I used to have 5 previous dance moves that world didn't see.
Hold on, so there's more?
That was my 6th move, and I was really heavy pressure with, dance moves. It was all hits before in Korea.
Wow.
So, and this is ridiculous because we were so serious to find out that horse. So we were like sitting down and we were very serious. What should he do? And we literally tried every creature.
It's one of those songs though that gets played a lot. It gets played a lot. You must have heard it more than anyone else.
So Gangnam is a district in South Korea, and I describe the district as calm at the daytime and crazy at the nighttime. So I compare all the sexy ladies to the district. Gangnam, usually when people say Gangnam Style in Korea, they gotta be handsome, pretty, blah, blah, blah. So, which means I'm not that handsome, I know it. So if I keep saying I'm Gangnam Style, that's kind of twist.
Marketing agencies and media analysts have spent years trying to reverse engineer Gangnam Style. But the truth is, it will take someone just as crazy and fearless as Psy to recreate that moment. One study broke it down like this. On the day it dropped, July 15, 2012, it got 520,000 views. Within 16 days, it hit 10 million views. By August 27, 25 days later, it reached 70 million views. But that wasn't even the wild part. Here's what happened within those same 25 days. 27 reaction videos were made, equaling over 10.1 million views plus 8k tweets. 33 dance covers were made, equaling over 5.7 million views plus 7k tweets. 15 parody videos were made, equaling over 17 million views plus 16k tweets. That's over 100 million views generated around Gangnam Style in just 25 days. Even Drake couldn't forget that moment.
One of my friends sent me a video the other day, and it was just like all the top numbers from the last 10 years, and the people I don't know if you saw that video where all the artists start moving and taking over different spots, and that was pretty crazy because it was like for the whole last 2 minutes of that video I was just sitting up there, wow. With the exception of getting flipped out with PS Psy, remember that Psy? Gangnam Style. Yeah. So it was
Gangnam Style climbed to #1 in almost every country except on the US Billboard Hot 100, where it peaked at #2 behind Maroon 5's One More Night. Why? Because Billboard wasn't counting YouTube views yet. But guess what? Because of Psy's number, Billboard changed the rules, and that's how Gangnam Style eventually climbed #1 on the Hot Rap Songs chart. And as for YouTube, where the video was uploaded, Psy literally broke that platform. On December 21st, 2012, Gangnam Style became the first video in internet history to hit 1 billion views, and by May 31st, 2014, it passed 2 billion views. YouTube had to change their view counter system from a 32-bit to a 64-bit integer, increasing the max view count to 9.22 quintillion. And the ripple effect didn't stop there. Psy's father's company, DI Corporation, had been in law since 2010, but after the Gangnam explosion, their stock multiplied by 8x, going from 1,000 2001 to over 11,000 won per share. By the end of 2012, they reported a net profit of over 2.5 billion Korean won. And since then, hitting a billion views has been like ABC for this motherfucking artist. But what really hits me the most is not how massive Gangnam Style became. Is that the very thing Psy's parents never wanted him to become is what changed their life forever. Psy single-handedly rewrote his family history, and that right there is the power of believing in yourself even when no one else does. So to all parents out there scared of letting their children take an unconventional path, especially in places like Nigeria where opportunity seems scarce, I get it, but sometimes all it takes is one chance. So if you're a parent, give that chance, and if you're the one receiving the chance, make good use of it, Kwano. Not for you. My name is Milor Hilary, and if you enjoyed this video, I'm pretty sure you will love the ones I made before and after this one. So please like, share, and subscribe.
Mindset of this dance is dress classy and dance cheesy. So
Oh, okay.
there's a point. So this is nice.
All right.
And let me, by the way, can I introduce myself?
Yes, please do.
Not just dancing.
Okay.
I'm Sai from Korea. How are you?
Sai from Korea. We love you.
Oh, really?
We love you. You're amazing. All right.
All right, so song goes like.
How do you do it?
1, 2, 3, 4.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Bruh. Why don't you try?
1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
And hands gotta be soft like this and bounce like you're riding a invisible horse. Like
Now that 5-year-old man do this too, though. Walk around the world.
so it goes. All right, give me the music. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gangnam Style. If you guys laugh, if you laugh, thunder will fire you.